Saucy Bites.
So I don't know about you, but I heard about this Auto-GPT experiment, and essentially what this is it's an experiment where we're using Python scripts to essentially create a fully autonomous AI engine that is able to go out and perform tasks and complete like entire business plans that you put together. And so on this GitHub repo, you'll see that there's a wide variety of information here. But there's steps on how to install this particular repo locally on your system. And one of the main requirements is that you have Python 3.7 or later, and also that you have an OpenAI API key. Then you can move on to the installation itself. So in my case, what I had to do was I first had to install Python. I'm running on a Linux machine. I then went out and got my OpenAI API key, and I got that all set up. I then made sure that my system had Git installed as well, and once Git was installed, I started following these steps here. So the first thing we do is we actually clone the repository, this repository here. We clone it locally into our system. We then go into the Auto-GPT folder, and then in there's going to be a file called requirements.txt. This file contains all of the packages that Auto-GPT is going to require to run the different tasks that it tries to run. And the way you install that is by using a program called pip, and it's basically a package installer for Python. If that's not installed on your system, your operating system will typically give you instructions on how to install it. And then there's a few API keys that you have to input into an environment file. And so the file itself right out of the box is going to be .env.template. You basically need to rename that to .env. And then in that file, one of the API keys that you have to populate is going to be your OpenAI API key. There's also a program that you need called Pinecone. And Pinecone is going to be used to provide the autonomous AI a memory. And so what you're going to do for that is you're going to go to app.pinecone.io, and you can simply sign up for a free account. In my case, I went to the site. I said connect using Google. It then brought me to this dashboard here. I then went underneath API keys, and I created a new API key, and I simply put that API key inside of that env file as well. And then it gives you instructions on how to actually run the actual AI. So it's just going to be Python space scripts /main.py. So we're going to come over into my system where I have all this stuff already set up and ready to go. And I'm going to run that command. And so I'm going to start out from scratch. So I'm going to call this, I want to see if this can do something I wanted to do instead of the standard thing. Product scraper. Okay, so it says I'm here at your service, and it gives me an example of what the role is. To scrape product data from a website and store data in CSV format. And then enter 5 goals. So the first goal I'm going to put is to browse to Amazon.com and search for Amish popcorn. Goal number 2 is going to be to browse each product page for the first 5 products. From each page, scrape the product name, product price, full URL of the image, goal number 4 will be to write this data to a file called products.csv. The headers of this file will be name, price, and image. So there's my 5 goals. Let's see what we can do with this. So it says it's thinking. And what it's doing now is it's looking at what I've asked it to do for the goals, and it's coming up with a plan of attack. So I will start by using the browse website command to go to Amazon website and search for Amish popcorn. Once I find the first 5 products, I will extract the product name, product price, and image URL from each product page. I will store this data in a CSV file named products.csv using the write to file command. Reasoning? I am starting by browsing to Amazon and searching for the product I need. Then I'm going to extract the data I need to save it to a file. And this will ensure that the data is written to the specified file in the correct format. The plan is going to be to browse Amazon using the browse website command, search for Amish popcorn, extract product name, price, and image URL from the first 5 products, and then use the write to file command to save the data to a CSV file. Criticism, see, it actually criticizes its thought and its plan. I need to be careful to ensure I am extracting the correct data from each product page and that the data is being properly structured in the CSV file. So then it's saying the next action is going to be to browse the website and then go to Amazon.com and then ask for Amish popcorn. And now I have this in the user intervention mode. There is a way to do this where you can tell it to just run all by itself with no commands, but I want to show you the thought process here. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes and hit enter. Okay, so it's telling me that when it went to the Amazon page, it did not provide any information about Amish popcorn. So then it says it has thoughts, and it's basically saying, I can use the Google search command to try to find a more specific link to a page with Amish popcorn products. Alternatively, I can use GPT agents to scrape the website data for me. I will use Google search first to try to find a page with the necessary data. So that right there is a perfect example. It is actually going to spin up, if it needs to, if it thinks that it needs to, a GPT agent to scrape the website data for me. And this is the AI talking about itself. The reasoning is, since I was not able to find product data for Amish popcorn on the Amazon website, I need to try a different approach. Using Google search command will allow me to find other potential sources for the data. It is important to remember that using GPT agents is expensive, so I should try simpler solutions first. Very true. So the plan is going to be to use the Google search command to search for the pages with Amish popcorn products. If that fails, consider using GPT agents. Criticism is, I need to be careful with my search terms to ensure that I'm finding relevant results. It is also important to remember that using GPT agents is expensive, so I should try simpler solutions first. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes to let it try to use Google to look for Amish popcorn products. So you can see here, it did a Google search for that, and it came back with some JSON data, which is basically giving it products as well as links that it can go to, prices. It shows the body of the product pages and whatnot. So it's now thinking about what it's going to do next. So it's saying it failed to parse the AI output, attempting to fix. Okay, so it looks like it's actually causing itself some issues with returning the responses that it wants. So like, for example, you can see here, thoughts. Well, the thoughts is something that is actually typically being shown as a yellow label here within the tool itself. And it's basically saying, now that I have found a page with the Amish popcorn products I need, I will browse each product page for the first 5 products. I will use the browse website command and specify the URL for each page. Once on each page, I will use regex to scrape the product name, price, and image link from the page. I will store this data in a CSV file. Reasoning: since I was able to find relevant products on the Amish Country Popcorn website, I can use the browse website command to navigate to the pages for the individual products. I can then use regex to extract the necessary data before writing it to a CSV file using the write to file. And then it gives the plan. And so again, it looks like it's having some trouble outputting its own responses. So I'm going to see what happens if I just say yes here, because it says command equals error. Okay, so I'm going to say no to exit. So let's see what happens if I run this, but I run it in the continuous mode. If I come back over, there is a continuous mode. So you can run this script and you can do -- continuous. So I'm wondering what happens if I do that. Warning. And I'm going to say yes. So now this is going to be, looks like it's starting over again, maybe from the beginning. But it looks like what it's going to do is start back to where we originally started. But in this case, I'm not providing any intervention. This is the AI just taking the tasks and the goals that were defined and coming up with a plan and carrying it out to completion. It actually just said, I need to open a browser window, navigate to Amazon.com, input Amish popcorn kernels into the search bar, click the search button, browse through the search results to locate the first 5 products. For each product, click through to the product page and scrape the product name, price, and image URL. Okay, so now it's decided it's going to use Google, like we saw before, and you can see that it actually found completely different products this time compared to what we saw in the first run through. Okay, it knows that it has search results now. It's coming up with a plan to create a list of the first 5 products. Looks like we have website content summary. The text does not provide enough information to answer the given question or summarize it. Okay. Curious if it ever gets past these failed to parse AI output errors. Seems like it's gotten stuck on quite a few of those. Okay, so apparently this is having trouble completing this particular task. So in this case, I'm going to say my task might be too confusing. Oh, it's actually changing the plan now. I should just let this think for itself, apparently. It's now saying that it's not familiar with web scraping techniques, so it's going to use an agent. So it's creating its own new agent using the Selenium WebDriver to navigate to a site and then using Beautiful Soup to extract the product information. And it came up with a whole new plan and criticism of its plan. And now it's going to go through its plan and see what it can get. It's hitting the same issue with the Amazon.com page. So the way I think this is working now is it's created an agent that's using Selenium and Beautiful Soup, and the AI is telling those agents what it wants it to do. Here's the requested information. Product name, Amish Country Popcorn. Price, $13.99. Image URL, and it gives an image URL. What? Like, I have not provided any intervention or any advice. I haven't gone out and researched how to get around these errors that it's been returning. So I could have, for all intents and purposes, just walked away and let this thing do what it does. So it's telling me now that since it's scraped the data successfully for the first 5 products, I'm now going to use the write to file command to save the data in a CSV file. It says file written to successfully. And then I will use the execute Python file command to open and read the product's CSV file, then print its contents in the console for verification. In order to ensure the data was properly written to the product's CSV file, it is necessary to read and verify the contents of the file. So it's coming up with its reasoning, the plan. Wow. So you can see that it went out, it scraped the data for the first 5 products. It then wrote the data to the CSV file that I asked it to write it to. And then it's printing it out so that it can verify that the data was captured and logged properly into a CSV file. My task is complete. I will now shut down by using the task complete command. Since my task of scraping product data from Amazon and writing to the product CSV file has been accomplished, my work is finished for now. And then it just exited out of itself back to a command prompt. That's crazy. So let me see if I can go find this CSV file now. So I'm going to do CD Auto-GPT workspace, and I'm going to do an ls here. And there's my products CSV file. So I'm going to do a cat products.csv. No way. I literally cannot believe what I'm looking at here. So now what I'll do is I will go out and verify whether this information is accurate. But you were able to see that I was able to tell Auto-GPT to accomplish certain goals. And based on those goals, it on its own develops a plan. And it comes up with what the steps of that plan is going to be. And then it reasons with itself about its plan. And then it provides criticism of the plan. And then it begins to execute the plan. And if and when there's a need for additional agents to be spun up and used, it creates those agents and spins them up and uses them for the task that they need it to do. And in this case, for example, you saw that it was not able to figure out how to properly scrape the data that I was asking for it to scrape. So it ended up using Selenium and Beautiful Soup to do the scraping of the product data. So it reasoned with itself and figured out what it needed to do to get the task completed successfully. You did see that there was a lot of errors like API parsing issues and JSON formatting issues. But we literally sat there and watched it show those one after another, and then it came up with a whole new plan of attack, and then it started executing that plan, and we ended up with a CSV file that has product names, product prices, and image URLs for those products, all without me having to do anything except initially defining a goal for this AI to complete. Kind of creepy. Kind of cool. Let me know what you think.
Rossi Bites.